All right, so welcome back to Islebound. We're still going over the rest of the building cards. We still have several more to go over, so let's get started. So if you want to purchase the woodworking shop, you're going to need 3 money to do so, and it's going to be worth 3 points at the end of the game. And then whenever you visit Phil's Garden, so whenever you visit there, you'll get +1 wood. And I should point this out. If you are attacking, if you are using diplomacy, that still technically counts as visiting. So you're still going to get the +1 wood if you attacked the isle. You're still going to get this +1 wood if you have this in your town. Assuming, of course, you were successful in attacking it. Same thing with influence. Okay? If you are able to influence a town, obviously, you're still going to get this +1 wood because you're still technically visiting the isle. But you're not going to get it if you're visiting Phil's Garden and you're just simply hunting for treasure. You're not visiting the isle if you're doing that. So that is like the only time that wouldn't be available to you. But that's basically what that means. So, let's continue on. Okay, well this one's going to cost 5, and it's going to be worth 5 at the end of the game. It's called the Sword Academy. With this, you're going to get +2 renown when you conquer a town. So whenever you just happen to conquer a town, you're going to get 2 renown, okay? That means you're actually attacking the town, because that's what conquering is. You're attacking it, okay? You're taking it over. You're not using diplomacy at all. You're attacking it. So whenever you attack a town, and it's successful because you conquered it, you're going to get 2 renown for doing so if you have the Sword Academy in your town. Okay, this one's going to cost 6, the bridge. It's also going to be worth 6 at the end of the game. This is +1 renown and a fish when you build a building. So whenever you build a building, meaning you didn't purchase it, you're building the building, if you have the bridge in your town and you decide to build a building on the Isle of Stratic, you're going to get a renown and a fish for doing so as a benefit to you if you have this in your town. So that is cool, right? Okay, now this is another one of my favorites. This one's going to cost you 6, and it's also worth 6 at the end of the game. Monster Trainers. This is going to give you +1 sea serpent when you visit your port. Okay? Now, this is only when you visit your port. If you visit somebody else's port, or a port that's simply not controlled by a player, you don't get this sea serpent. It's only when you visit your port. But there are definitely times when you might want to visit your port because you need to... you don't have any money. So when you don't have money, you should definitely visit probably your port unless you have some other isles under your control, right? And so you might do that at least a few times in the game. So if you have the monster trainers in your town, this building, you're going to get a sea serpent every time you do decide to visit your port. So that's really cool. Okay, this is my most favorite building. I got this the first time I played this game. It was so much fun. I had an awesome time with this one card. And it's really, really cool. And if you are the player who gets this, you're the only one who gets to do this. So let's talk about it. I should have saved it for last, but that's okay. Okay, it's going to cost 12 money to purchase, right? Right. So and it's going to be worth 12 at the end of the game. And this is called the Under River Gate, okay? When you obtain this, whether you build it or buy it, you automatically gain Ichor, or Ichor, the sea serpent. And then you'll discard Ichor when used, but then you'll gain Ichor again when you gain at least 1 sea serpent. So whenever there's a chance, and whenever you get at a point in the game, you no longer have Ichor because you used him. You come across another chance to get some more sea serpents, and you get at least 1 sea serpent doing so. Instead of getting the sea serpent, if you don't have Ichor in use, you'll get this instead. And then if you get more sea serpents, you'll still get, obviously, the other regular sea serpents. This Ichor is a lot stronger because he has an attack power of 4 if you roll a 5 or 6. But even better than the sea serpent, because the sea serpent requires you to have at least a roll of 3 just to get an attack power of 2. But with Ichor, if you roll a 1, you still get an attack power of 1. So that's actually better. So this is definitely worth having if you're going to attack a lot, especially. But only one player gets this, and only if this building shows up. So that's another thing to note. That's an awesome one to get. It's one of my favorites. It's the best, if you ask me. Okay. And there's actually one other thing we didn't go over, including these building cards, and we will go over that after we go over the rest of these, because there's one other thing I forgot to mention, or failed to mention. Okay? Okay, so here we have the Miracle Hut. It's going to cost 3, and it's going to be worth 3 at the end of the game. When you rest, you may place 1 injured crew member on deck. So if you have the Miracle Hut and you have an injured crew member, instead of just simply moving him to exhausted, you get to put him on deck with everybody else. But only 1 crew member. So if you have 2 injured crew members, you can only do it with 1. That's still really cool. Okay, so here we have the Mercenary Guild. It's going to cost 7. It's going to be worth 7 at the end of the game. And you'll get +1 pirate when you buy a building. So if you have the Mercenary Guild in your town and you buy a building, you're going to get a free pirate by doing so. That's cool. Okay. Here we have the Lodge. It's going to be worth 2. It's going to be cost 2, and then it's going to be worth... it's going to cost 4, and it's going to be worth 4 at the end of the game. +1 wood and 1 fish when you gain a crew member. So every time you gain a crew member, you'll get an additional bonus of 1 wood and 1 fish each time. So that's also really cool and useful. Okay, here we have the Barracks. This one will cost 6, and it'll be worth 6 at the end of the game. When you conquer a player's port, you'll get +4 renown. Wow, that is cool. So whenever you take over somebody else's port, you conquer it, meaning you attack them, and it's their port, their starting port, or some other port that they were able to take over, you're going to get 4 renown for doing so. So that adds an additional benefit, but this might be something you only attempt once in the entire game. Okay, Mausoleum. If you're afraid of losing towns to your opponents, this one is definitely a building worth having in your town. It's going to cost 4, and it's going to be worth 4 at the end of the game. This will give you +3 renown when you lose a town. So if you lose a town to an opponent, whether by attacking or by influence, when you lose a town, you're going to get 3 renown. So you're going to get a nice little benefit, which is nice. So this is a nice one to have if you are afraid you're going to be losing your towns to your opponents quite a bit. This one is definitely worth getting. Okay. This one is the Town Hall. This one is worth 6 at the end of the game, and it costs 6 to purchase the Town Hall. This one is going to give you +1 renown when you place a cube on the influence track. So whenever you place 1 influence on the influence track, meaning 1 cube that goes onto the influence track, you're going to also get 1 renown in the process. So you're also going to move the cube on the renown track up 1 as well. That's really cool, right? Okay, Navigators Guild. This one costs 4, and it's worth 4 at the end of the game. If you have the Navigators Guild in your town, you basically get to move your ship 1 additional space. So it's not that useful, if you ask me. Okay, we still have 2 more, and then we're almost done. This one's going to cost 6, the museum, but it's also worth 6 at the end of the game. This is going to give you 1 renown, +1 renown when a player visits a town you control. So it's nice having a museum in your town if they're visiting a town you control, because you're going to get 1 renown each time they visit a town you control. So that's really cool. Okay. This one's really cool too. The armory is going to cost 4, and it's going to be worth 4 at the end of the game. It's going to give you +1 renown per unused pirate you have at the end of the game. So if you find yourself with a few of these that you weren't able to use at the end of the game, you're going to get 1 renown at the end of the game for each pirate that you weren't able to use, basically to attack some poor island with, obviously. So that's really cool. That could definitely come in handy if you didn't end up using all of them, for sure. Now, that's all of the cards we've gone over. Now, there is one thing I want to mention. that I didn't talk about. One last thing to mention. Let me get them. I'm missing. Oh, there it is. When I said that when you decide you want to purchase a card or build a building, right? You're going to have access to 5 cards in total at a time to choose from, okay? So here we have the 3-book, the 2-book token, and the 1-book token, okay? Here is the deck of cards, okay? Well, you're going to have 5 accessible. Okay, here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, and let's move it up to get some more view on this. Okay, so here's a first one, second one, third one, fourth, and then 5th. These 2 don't require you to have any books in order to purchase and build. But if you want to purchase and build a card that's over in this spot, you must have a book. You don't pay a book, you just have to have a book in your inventory. Same thing with this one, but you need 2 books in your inventory to get this one. And you need 3 books in your inventory to get this one. Now, if you're playing with a 4-player game, you're actually going to use the 4-player token. You're going to use the 4-book token as well. And so, therefore, when you play this, the first one is actually going to be here. So only the first card here is going to be available to purchase / build if you don't have any books. But that's basically what that's going to happen. Now, of course, as you purchase the cheaper ones, because you don't have books, these are going to get bumped down. They're first all going to get bumped down. So you're still going to be able to access these at some point, even if you don't have any books, assuming someone who has a book doesn't purchase them to begin with. And then, obviously, you're going to replenish at the end of your turn, just like normal, like that. But that's all I wanted to explain. I think I've explained everything that I can possibly explain about this game for the game known as Islebound. So thank you guys for watching these videos. And if you guys liked any of these videos, don't forget to leave a like. That means if you're now just realizing that you could have left a like because you liked the videos that you watched maybe before this one, it doesn't hurt to really quickly go to that other video and leave a like on it real quick. You know, it's only going to take you a few seconds to do so. But I don't want to pester you. You don't have to leave a like even if you liked it. It does help me out a little bit, because then my videos, they get spread around YouTube a little bit more, and that means more people can end up watching these. More people have access to seeing these videos. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys again soon.